Happy Thursday, Lucky Lefty Podcast. The Onora boys are in the building. You got Shaun Davis at SD2 mics. That dude, the original Lucky Lefty himself at Malik Zaire. 8, right?
That's right.
At
That's right.
Overtime Malik on Instagram. We are brought to you by Onora Whiskey, OnoraWhiskey.com. It is that premium American whiskey, OnoraWhiskey.com. And if you drink, by all means, make sure that you do so.
Responsibly.
You got to do it responsibly. Great show today, full show. We're going to talk about the new hires. Gerard Parker is your new offensive coordinator at Notre Dame. What does he bring to the table, and how will things be different? Gino Giudugli. I'm sorry. I don't know if it's harder to pronounce his name or spell his name, but he is the new quarterback coach at Notre Dame. He was currently the tight end coach at Wisconsin. He's been given a lot of credit for the development of Desmond Ridder during his time at Cincinnati. So we'll talk about that. And then Max Bullock, we can't forget him, uh, former linebacker for Mark Antony and the Michigan State Spartans. He was a linebacker coach up at Cincinnati. He is now part of the staff replacing James Laurinaitis as a GA to work with the linebackers. And then we're still looking for an O-line coach. There is a national search going on right now. I'm sure a lot of people feel like Chris Watt should just be ushered into that position. And we'll talk about whether or not Notre Dame needs someone along the lines of Harry Hiestand or whether or not they need to go in a different direction. And then we're going to talk about why Notre Dame needs Marcus Freeman more than ever. Notre Dame needs Marcus Freeman more than ever. And then we're going to discuss the NCAA taking what can only be called a beating in court in Philadelphia over the last couple of days. It's not looking good, but I'm sure eventually things will end up in the Supreme Court. And we can't forget about Tommy Tuberville and the legislation that he'll be bringing to Congress, along with other congressmen during the spring concerning NIL. So the next month or so for the NCAA and the NIL should be very interesting as we watch it flow through the courts and government. Apple Podcast, Spotify, CFB Nation in conjunction with Irish Breakdown, all of our great content. Not just us, State of Recruiting with our guy, John Garcia Jr. And then you have our guy, Ryan Roberts. He just launched his new draft, NFL Draft podcast as well. Just tons of great content over at CFB Nation. Why don't you go ahead and tap in? Lucky Lefty Podcast. You already know we spin it different. Now, with all those things we said we're going to talk about, we start with Heather Dinich, ESPN reporter who breaks some stories for Notre Dame, and the other stories, she just, gets information from sources at the program, connected to the program, within the program, that really have been talked about and put out by publications that follow Notre Dame locally 1 or 2 days before she even tweets it. But of course, it's ESPN, so everything is real once ESPN puts it out. That's just the way the world works sometimes. She was on the Paul Feinbaum show yesterday, Left, and she had a very interesting take as we get ready to put the final touches on this entire Utah, Notre Dame, Andy Ludwig situation. Did you happen to see her on the Paul Feinbaum show, Left? You muted.
I didn't get a chance to check it out.
Oh, let me just go ahead and read you a quote. She said, my sources at Notre Dame told me that they were willing to pay the buyout, but by the time it all got figured out, Ludwig got cold feet, and apparently he's got a great deal at Utah, and that's where that stood.
What do you make of that?
They need some new people in public relations. Look, Heather Dinich, I had an opportunity to meet her. Not necessarily work with her. I've never produced with her. Had an opportunity to meet with her as she used our studios multiple times to do shows, and had an opportunity to board op and kind of engineer for her and set up connections back to Bristol and all of that for her to be able to do her shows. So nothing more than high by and maybe a joke here or there. Very credible. She's worked her tail off to get to where she's at in that company. So for her to say that, she was told that. So that's that. Here's the bad thing though, Left. Even in saying that, you just made it worse.
Yeah.
You just made it worse.
Yeah.
You took it from, I would much rather you, honestly, I would just much rather you say, we didn't think he was worth it. We didn't want to pay the buyout. It was too much.
That's it.
Cool.
They're cool.
Cool. Now, after the fact, here you come saying we were willing to pay the buyout, but by the time it all got figured out, figure what out? So now you admit to just messing up the process. You admit to dropping the ball. Here's the key. Either way, because I know there are some people out there that are just going to believe what's being said here. I don't believe a word of it. Not from Heather Dinich's point of view. Whoever told us this, stop. Stop. I called my guy Josh Newman, once again, Salt Lake Tribune. Told him this was said. You know what he said?
What you say?
It's bull. It's bullish. If you go to his Twitter page last night, it wasn't until Gerard Parker was announced as the next OC that Josh Newman tweeted out that gasp you heard was Utah fans finally exhaling because the Utah people knew that there was still a chance that Notre Dame could come back and get Andy Ludwig because Andy Ludwig wanted to be at Notre Dame. And it was apparent to the people that covered Utah, and it was apparent to the Utah administration and the coaches. That's where he wanted to be. He wanted to be at Notre Dame. So all of this stuff about Andy Ludwig dragging his feet, just stop. Just stop. Stop making it worse. Stop making the hole bigger and deeper and wide. Stop. Just let it go. Let sleeping dogs lie. You screwed up. It was a public relations nightmare. Bad look. Black eye. Whatever you want, whatever term you want to use to describe it. That's what it was. Leave it alone. You hired the next OC, leave it alone. Why would you hire the next OC and release that crap to Heather Dinich on the same day? Why? You can't even get out your own way. You can't get out your own way.
Can't let it be.
Just can't let it be. You release that crap the same day.
Same day.
Gerard Parker, the next OC. And stop. They just can't get out of their own way, Left. They just can't. They can't. They don't refute a day and a half of information coming from sources. They don't jump in and refute that in the middle of it. They wait until they elevate Gerard Parker or Gerard Parker. They wait until they elevate Gerard Parker and then put that out.
Yeah.
There's always two sides to a story. And the Utah side says bullish. Bull.
Because Utah was like, oh, thank goodness.
Exactly. Up until yesterday, Utah, the media, the fans still thought there was a chance that Andy Ludwig was gone. So if they
They were
felt
happy
like that,
for him.
come on, man. We got to do better. We got to do better. Just move on. The story was out there. We were asked about it constantly yesterday. So we said we were going to address it to start the show. And that's it. We're done. Now it's showtime in Notre Dame. We have an OC, we have a quarterback coach, and we have a new GA linebacker coach. It's time to move on. It just is. It just is.
Yeah, no more crying over spilled milk.
No, no. But what we need you to do is stop making things worse.
Yeah, please.
Just stop.
Good grief.
Because it's obvious. You weren't worried about public perception. Then, when you started the process and when you said no, and you're not worried about public, just stop. Just stop. It's bad, man.
It's
It's
bad.
bad. And everybody just taking it just okay, that's what it no, stop. Be smarter than that. Stop. Stop. It makes it worse.
It does.
So you go from we didn't want to pay the 2.8. Okay, cool.
Cool.
Go ahead and take the backlash for that.
That's all right. Yeah, go ahead.
Cool.
Get that lump that you deserve.
But now you see the backlash from the fan base, and now you want to switch it up. Oh, we did want to pay the buyout, but he didn't want to come by the time we got it figured out. Got what figured out? See, you
got
get
what
real.
figured out.
Yeah. See, you were concrete in saying we wanted to pay the buyout. That's concrete. On the back end, but Andy Ludwig wanted to stay. See, those two things were concrete. But when it came to you and your actions, you left it real murky in the middle once everything got figured out.
Once
No, no,
everything
no.
got figured
Yeah,
out.
be concrete. Because you were concrete about the buyout and you were concrete about Andy Ludwig. But when it came to where you dropped the ball, you got real murky.
Yeah.
And just left it out there once things got figured out. What things?
What things? And I think it just goes back to, putting our foot in our mouth when we always want to perceive ourselves as the good guy. We try to get ahead on the Tommy thing. We'll match Alabama and whatever they try to give Tommy. Oh, we tried to pay him, but then he backed out at the last. It's like it's listen. If you don't want to support the man, or if you running it and he's just the placeholder for the man, then let it just be known like that. I mean, my goodness, man. And then now you getting Gerard Parker in house hire, which is cool. I don't see no problem with that. But I mean, he had to. He had what other options did the man have? He probably felt demoralized at the fact that he done did his due diligence. Now the media done caught wind that everything he did was ended in a conversation and all this speculation about why. He's like, damn, who else we got? Now we get Gerard Parker, who, every place he's been, haven't been that great. He was a position coach at Purdue those years, 13 through 16. They were less than 500 every year. Goes to Cincinnati, one good year. Oh, no, they wasn't that good. Went to Duke, right? So, I mean, the man hasn't been around a ton of winning football. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, that's just the truth of it. Is he somebody of a caliber where I feel great with him having a style that we can win with? I don't know. We still don't have an O-line coach. That matters a lot. Looks like another season where we might be really talented, but putting it together may take some time, And I think it's unfortunate Marcus Freeman is in a position where I felt like the staff was good enough to meet us in the middle to get that championship, provided the team elevate themselves to that playing level. But right now, I mean, this looks like a bunch of band-aids on a motor vehicle. It's not looking too pretty.
Man, fan base, I understand the anger, the angst right now during the fan base. I see people in the chat saying this is like having chicken with no seasoning, bland chicken. Look, I'm going to be fair because I was fair to Tommy Rees when Tommy Rees was hired without experience and was given this position. That is a very, very big time position as the offensive coordinator at Notre Dame in college football. It was given to a very inexperienced OC in
Yeah.
Tommy Rees, and I gave him a shot. And I'm going to do the same thing for Gerard Parker. And I'm not about to hold the situation that preceded Gerard Parker that has no bearing on him moving forward. Absolutely none at all. I will say he is an experienced coach. He's coached for a long time. As Luck pointed out, it's not a lot of success from a team standpoint on the resume. When he was at West Virginia, it was not his offense. So I don't think we're going to see a wide open offense or anything like that. He's done everything. Left. He's coached running backs. He's
Yeah,
coached tight
yeah,
ends.
he's coached
He's
everything.
been a recruiting coordinator. He's done everything. So that
But
he
not
knows
being around football teams that are winning,
that's for you.
that's all
That's
that
an issue.
matters.
Okay.
Because in that case, I should be there. What the hell? I should be calling the plays. I don't
He
want to hear
does that.
nothing about what he's coached if they haven't been winning. It's different, which is why we give so much credit, half good, half inflated, to any coach that leaves Alabama. Because Alabama wins all the time. So when coaches leave Alabama, it's like, oh, okay, they gonna know something about winning football. When you're coming from teams that haven't won anything and in fact been one-win teams, when you was the interim head coach at Purdue in 2016, y'all was 3-9. It just doesn't feel good when you are trying to find a reason why you're giving guys chances. This is not I don't think football is a place where it's just here to give guys chances, because that's not fair to the fans. It's not fair to them kids that are there 3-4 years trying guys out at Notre Dame. Now, if we was at Rinky Dink Community College down the street, yeah, try guys out. Everybody's trying stuff out at community college. But it's a serious football. And for it to be slim pickings as it was, not that he's not great, not that players don't love him from that aspect, not that he doesn't work hard, but if you're not coming from nowhere winning, you not convincing me yet. You no different than trying Tommy out for the first time, like you said. But
I think
this
at the
whole
height as the wide receiver coach at Penn State in 2019, they were what 10-2, 11-2, something like that. Trace McSorley and that crew, Miles Sanders at running back.
who do you
Uh,
remember from receiver group 2019? I
I think
remember
that
Trace Saquon. I
and
don't remember no receivers.
I think in 2019 that's when they had a young Hamler. They were young guys, right? Because DeAndre Tompkins was if I'm not mistaken, was the big time guy.
I think it'll just be interesting to see what style he goes with. I think the good part is you have all the best talent in the world in the room. So for to be a first time OC in this type of position, you got all the talent to
Mm-hmm.
be creative. I mean, it's not like you're lacking in any areas uh, of that aspect. It'll be very important to get an O-line coach. So
Yeah, I mean, like Hamler and Jahan Dotson were the young kids on that squad. They were the sophomores. Uh,
Anybody that made an
and
impact?
they were the starters. So he had a young wide receiver crew. And Hamler and Dotson are in the NFL. I mean, he only
Not
had
off
them
of
for
that
1 year.
year. It was off of,
Yeah.
getting old. But I think the point being, a little unsure what he wants to do offensively. I think it turns to a true quarterback competition. Uh, and that's going to be interesting to see how he deals with that in a first year. One guy being experienced, and then Tyler Buckner, who he's been around. Um, but who knows? Is he going to be able? Obviously, he's trusted enough to put together something that we can go out there and score points with.
Hmm.
Uh, but am I confident we're going 11-1 and 12-0 and that kind of thing? Maybe not too much.
So I understand that. Look, I'm with you. I think questions, unless you're a perfect candidate, which I don't feel like exists,
Right.
I don't think Andy Ludwig was a perfect candidate,
No.
but he checked a lot of boxes.
A lot of what we
He
needed to
checked a
check.
lot of boxes. So I understand the questions. Question whether or not he's been around winning enough as a coach and been able to be a part of that as a coach. I mean, that's a viable question. But at the end of the day, yo, for me, I gave Tommy a shot. I'm definitely giving him a shot. And I love the combination of him and Gino Giudugli. Man, I know how to say this name. I don't know. I practiced it all
His
day.
name
Gino
Gino Giudugli.
Giudugli. No, Giudugli. Gino Giudugli. Man,
Gino Giudugli. Okay.
Gino Giudugli. It's real simple. So I like it. I like the combination. I like Gino
Get some
come. Hey,
experience.
from now that I've said his name professionally, LL Nation, I'm just letting you know. From now on, I'm calling him Gino G.
Gino G. Okay, I
Gino
like it.
G.
Gino
Gino
G.
G. I said, hey, so when I say Gino G, LL Nation, Notre Dame fans, you know who I'm talking about. So now we have the combination of Gerard Parker and Gino G. Look, I like the combination. I like the combination. I do because you have guys, even in Gino G, even though he was the OC quarterback coach, he did a lot of things. He was allowed to work with the running backs. He was allowed to work with the tight ends, and that's the type of coach he was. So you got versatility here, and I don't know if Gerard Parker would be the OC, but yet still Gino will have input, whether it be in the passing game. And then, I went back and watched Gino. Gino G he used to throw the pill around back in 2002,
Yeah.
2003 in Cincinnati.
I saw the scouting report. I saw he
Because he was at Cincinnati when you were being recruited, right? Or like you
uh
were like in eighth grade, seventh, eighth grade, something like that.
something like yeah, back then
No,
for
you were a
sure.
shorty. You were a shorty for real. Yeah, you
But
were a
I think
shorty for real when Gino was there.
what's cool too is that you do get that good wealth of experience that covers a good time span. So you're not going to roll out there with some outdated stuff. You're going to also have some flavors, some things that I think the quarterbacks can respond to from Gino's side, but then also kind of work with Coach on Gerard on some of the things that they can like together. I
Yeah.
think it'd be much more of a happier relationship having those two guys in that room. I think it'll be a tighter relationship where they can really concoct some things together and really put together something that works. Now the question is, which direction are you headed with Sam or Tyler Buckner? If you still think you can put together what Tommy could with Sam and come up to a championship level right now, win now, I mean, why not go for it? But I think I think those two will be around. I don't think Marcus Freeman uh, is probably going to take a break from probably trying to replace guys uh, that I feel like those guys want to be there. I think Gerard wants to be there. I think Gino wants to be there. So they'll be there longer than a year. I'm giving them. So how do you develop that room, and what does the future look like for that room? And Kenny Minchie's getting a fresh start in a way,
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
he might be in the mix if
Yeah.
he steps up to the plate. And he should be in the mix. I think it'd be healthy to see. You got a very experienced guy in Sam. How is Kenny matching up? Because at this point, everybody's viable. And Jelly too. I mean, shit, I don't want to write him off, but I think everybody in that quarterback room is green lit. I think Sam has a slight edge, but then again, it depends on how they want to attack it. At least they got a lot of heads thinking about it.
Do you think, because I'm looking at this once again, Lucky Lefty Podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, CAB Nation, in conjunction with Irish Breakdown, we spin it different. I look at this and I love this, right? Because I think you can find a message in these moves. You have a quarterback coach now, which you haven't had because Tommy did both jobs. And you talked about the importance of having a quarterback coach in big time college football, right? You don't like the OC and the quarterback coach being intertwined or intermingled. You
Yeah,
get Max Bullock. You get Max Bullock to come in, who was a young, up and coming linebacker coach. Went to Michigan State, played well, tough nose, interior guy, leader of the defense, 3-year captain. Just man, knew the game, knows the game, great teacher. You get him. But what you don't have now is somebody specifically coaching the tight ends. So, because of the numbers, they couldn't add a quarterback coach because they already had the number allotted by the NCAA. Now they get the quarterback coach, they get the OC. The OC can coach tight ends because he was coaching them. He can recruit tight ends because he was recruiting them. He has that relationship. So now the tight ends that he was going after and built a relationship with and recruiting are even more excited because he's the offensive coordinator now as well. But you kind of sacrifice coaching tight ends specifically at Notre Dame. It's going to be interesting of whether or not in the search you include coaching the tight ends along with the O-line coach. Or do you look at guys that have been able to coach both because at Notre Dame, your tight ends have to be able to block, number one. That's the
yeah,
number
right.
one
I
thing.
mean, right now, I mean, shoot, I think we'll take a dip in just the effectiveness of where the tight end fits in the offense because we don't have a tight end coach because the shift is leaning more towards the quarterback position, which it should. I think that's a good direction for it to evolve as an offense. But the tight end will become more of the, like you said, the inline guy, the guy that's the decoy or more the setup to the play instead of being the play, like Michael Mayer has been for us so much. We won't see that many tight end screens, I don't think. I think we'll see less of tight end jet sweeps and a bunch tight ends taking snaps under center. I think we'll see a lot less of that. But you'll get to be seeing the highlighted skill positions we've been recruiting so much the last 3 or 4 years that, in my opinion, might be a little more exciting to see for a Notre Dame fan base that's been so tight end run centric. I think the running backs will be used in the pass game a little bit more. I think the command of the offense will look a little bit more structured and it will be good. It will look like a leading unit on a Notre Dame football team in some games instead of always playing the hold them and hold them and don't fold them and let the defense keep them out of the game.
I just thought that was interesting. I think I like this setup better than the previous setup where
Mm-hmm.
we did not have a quarterback coach specifically teaching the quarterbacks. You had the offensive coordinator doing both of those tasks. And then you had a tight ends coach where it's like, the way things are set up, my check-ins and my savings, it kind of, that's the same thing with this. It's like, it's all about the way it's set up, right? But I love this setup for me personally to use the allotment of coaches that were allowed better than the previous based upon just our conversations with you talking about how difficult it is to be an OC and then coach the position during the week. So, I lean on, I defer to you with that knowledge when it comes to being able to coach both as opposed to just being the OC and allowing someone else to come in and coach the quarterbacks. What it shows me left, Marcus Freeman is invested in this quarterback position.
100%.
He fully understands what has been the difference between Notre Dame getting over the bump, or getting over the hump per se, and being a true national title contender. And he's investing in the quarterback position.
The move definitely shows that he wants to give the quarterback some ample amount of resources and ability to have time to dissect and really take in what they're trying to do. Having an experienced quarterback coach that has a lot of things that he's done in his past to prepare guys, and then is also give Coach Gerard an opportunity to really develop a plan without necessarily having to worry if the quarterbacks are on the same page, because that middleman with Coach Gino G is going to be very important and vital in keeping that flow of communication updated and on the same page, even when guys have questions. You got Sam Hartman in there that's going to be a great communicator for those young guys. So it's going to be a nice, that's where development really starts to happen, when you have a nice communication between those three, instead of having the quote unquote overwhelmed position of just being the OC and the QB coach, because there's no way you have time for questions. There's no way you have time to really focus on individuals, guys' technique or things you're noticing. There's just no way. So I'm expected to see receivers more involved and quarterbacks developing their pocket ability and their sense of the offense and their situational awareness, things that you'll miss when you're so focused on just calling plays.
Yeah, so once again, Gerard Parker is the new offensive coordinator at Notre Dame. Gino G, Gino Giudugli. I got it.
Yeah.
Is the new quarterback coach at Notre Dame. And then Max Bullock, former Michigan State linebacker and linebacker coach, GA at Cincinnati, comes down from the Cincinnati Bearcats and is now in the same position for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Heard great things about him as well, with his knowledge of the position and how great he is as a teacher of the position. And hopefully he can recruit his butt off.
That's right.
Hopefully he can recruit his butt off and continue the linebacker recruiting that Marcus Freeman started when he took the defensive coordinator position at Notre Dame. Lucky Lefty podcast. We get ready to transition. Hopefully, we were trying to effort to get Keith Jenkins. That's Mr. Keith Jenkins on Twitter. He covers Cincinnati Bearcats football and basketball. We were hoping to get him on for a couple of minutes. He's out and about chasing some news that broke this morning. He said if he had time, he would holler at us from his car driving through. We just want to ask him a couple of questions about Gino G. And we want to talk about the culture, how things are going to be different offensively. And I think it's safe to say that we feel like overall, it's going to be a different culture. In my opinion, a more teachable culture. And just to talk about that, we're going to give you a preview courtesy of Cincinnati Bearcat football media. Just what it's like to spend some time with Gino Giudugli on a practice field right here on the Lucky Lefty podcast.
That's right.
You ever played in QB? You ever played in QB? Little League? See? Where'd he go? We're a little thin over here today, Wiley. What's up, Coach? I'm great. You?
Good to see you.
How are you? You look like $1 million. I'm doing good. Lenny plays some QB. It's the old ball coach right there. Nate, you ever played any QB?
8th grade.
So you got a history of QB. What if the last group of the threes, we put a red jersey on Kobe Bryant and let him go out there and run the 3 offense? Just to spice it up a little bit. I'm gonna tell Dalvin, go get a red 7. Yeah? So you've never completed a pass. Can't really count as quarterback if you haven't completed a pass. It's going down. Last period, threes, you got him. The red 7's on its way out here right now. I'll show it to you. Oh, good ball. Like it. Oh! Oh! Good shot. Let's go. Next play. That was the pull look, but the safety was also low with the corner kind of on the backside, right? What's up, dog?
You need me or what? What's up?
Yeah, last year. Where you go? You're going to get one shot deep. That's it. The rest, we're going to do some read-run game. Play to your strengths, man. That ball goes down, that whistle blows, you just got to play. You can't aim it. You can't think about that.
You let me play. What about one play?
You might be nice at QB.
I'm trying to tell you, I was bro.
1 minute, one timeout, need a TD. Come out on the sideline like Superman, dog. Strap up, code red. No, you gotta be all in or you're out.
No, you're right.
Hey, kill! You met our new quarterback. Ready to go? Those gloves gotta come off. Just read Chase. If he's up the field, you pull it and go. If he's not, give it to Cope. Let's go, Cope! Oh, bash. Here we go. 4th and 5. Think it's easy back there, 7. That's what you prepare for, right, though? Like, they got to have confidence in you. He's not here. He goes down. That you're going in there and you're going to lead this team just like he would.
So, what's your impression from those 2 minutes of being able to watch him, in cut-ups of practice? I agree with Drunk Vigo. He seems very charismatic as a coach.
Yeah, I think the first thing, he's a likable guy. So when you can like the guy you're out there getting coached by, you're definitely more receptive to harder coaching when it comes. And I think he's mastered that kind of synergy between guys wanting to be coached by him, but he also knowing how to approach it. I don't think they look at him as a buddy coach.
Yeah.
But I do think they can relax enough to play better for him and to listen to what he's got to say. I would have been a little more on him about carrying out the fakes. You got to make sure you carry out them fakes.
Well, that was cold. That right there. That's the fun he asked to practice. He was talking to Luke Fickell, and he had Kobe Bryant, the defensive back, play quarterback for the last series. So they were having fun towards the end of practice. If he brings that type of fun to practice, I'm all for it, Left. I'm all for it.
Yeah, but it's Notre Dame too now. I don't want to see Cam Hart taking those snaps.
I don't think you'll see Cam Hart taking snaps, Left.
Cam can do it though. Shout out Cam. We never know. He switched before.
We are pleased and blessed to be able to have a guy that I actually follow on Twitter, especially going back a couple of years ago when Cincinnati was getting ready to come into Notre Dame Stadium for a big-time matchup. He's a big-time guy in Cincinnati, covering Cincinnati Bearcat football and basketball. You can follow him on Twitter right now at Mr. Keith Jenkins, as well as Instagram. And also check out KeithJenkins.com because he is an incredible public speaker. Want to welcome Keith Jenkins to the Lucky Lefty podcast. Keith, thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure. What up, y'all?
What's up, bro?
What's up, my man?
So we're just trying to get some background on what we call him Gino G right now.
Okay.
And just give us a background on what Gino Giudugli meant to the program and what he meant to Desmond Ridder and his development at the quarterback position.
Yeah, I would say that's Gino's claim to fame right now is the development of Desmond, what he was able to do there. Look, Desmond got to Cincinnati. He had 2 offers. It was Eastern Kentucky and it was Cincinnati. And he was a great athlete who happened to play quarterback. And by the time he left Cincinnati, he was a great quarterback who just happened to be a great athlete. There was no way he would have been a 3rd-round pick 3, 4, 5 years ago. But a lot of that development is a credit to Gino, the work that he did. Gino is a very personable guy. He's a player's coach. And I think the best thing about Gino is he played the quarterback position at a very high level. Before Desmond Ridder got there, Gino was the best quarterback in the history of the program. Probably even the best player, honestly. As far as statistics, as far as accolades and accomplishments, there weren't a lot of players that have done or that did what Gino was able to do at Cincinnati before Gino. I mean, there's guys like Travis Kelce, but Travis didn't have a phenomenal career at Cincinnati. Gino was a 4-year starter, owned all the record books, all the records, all that stuff. So it was special for Gino to be able to build something at Cincinnati, and then to have a player like Desmond who bought in, and he was really able to help him develop and grow and understand and dissect defenses and really understand the game of football from not an athletic perspective, but from a quarterback perspective. It's, as you guys know, man, it's a hard position. There's a lot of things that goes into it, and it takes a lot of time to really be able to learn and understand the complexities of different offenses and defenses. So Gino Giudugli was a big part in Desmond Ridder's maturation and development, and helped him to become the player that he was today. But yeah, Gino was huge for that program, and the fact that now he's going to Notre Dame, where he can kind of nestle in with Marcus Freeman and Mike Mickens and the other former Bearcat, and Bearcat High guys. It should be a good fit there too.
Yeah, you talk about Bearcat High. It seems like a lot of those coaches have found a way or found their way to South Bend to be on the coaching staff in connection or under Marcus Freeman. Just talk about what that culture was when they were all there together, under Luke Fickell. What was the core message within that program that ultimately led to that college football playoff berth?
Yeah, Luke Fickell, he built a program that was people first. And I know that everyone says that. They want you to feel like you're more than just a jersey number. You're more than just, one of the scholarships. But Luke Fickell really took that to heart. He built a program and a staff where he had close ties with these guys, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears with these guys. Like he knew Marcus Freeman since Marcus was 15, 16 years old. So they had a close bond, and what he wanted to do was just really build something. Luke Fickell was a big family guy. His family means a lot to him. Marcus Freeman the same way. And so that's how they wanted to build the program, family first. They wanted to feel truly like this is a family, and they took that to heart. And it really trickled down to the players on the field. It was a true brotherhood between those guys. And, I've been around a lot of programs in my career. I don't know if I've ever seen a more close-knit group between the players and the coaches. I think those guys had a great deal of respect for Luke Fickell and the coaches there. But it was more of like sometimes that respect comes out of fear, right? But then sometimes that respect comes out of love. And it truly was the latter of like, they really loved this guy. He was like a father to them. And Marcus was like a big bro. And that's kind of the environment that Luke Fickell and Gino and Marcus really cultivated. And it translated to guys wanting to stay. Like, when the COVID year happened, nobody wanted out. Like, everybody knew that, we got something special here. And if we got an opportunity to stick around and, why not do it? Why not ride this thing out and try to really go for it? And I think what we all saw was the culmination of a playoff berth and a historic season by those. It wasn't a flash in the pan kind of deal. It was something that they built over a sustained period of time. If you look at Cincinnati for those 3-4 seasons before that playoff berth, it was a continuous climb. And it just kind of culminated with everything falling together, but also just those guys really buying in and working hard. And it was really something special to watch. So, and it's cool to like see now that Gino and Marcus can kind of try to find that same spark in South Bend. And it's not just those guys. I mean, everything that they built there with the recruiting department that are former Cincinnati guys, and I mean it's really something that where they've tried to, keep that momentum going and bring it over to South Bend. So it's just going to be interesting to see if they can really get some things going there in Notre Dame.
Well, Keith, man, we thank you for giving us some time. We just wanted about 5 to 7 minutes to just check in with you and talk about Coach Giudugli and find out what makes him such a great hire for Notre Dame and such a special person. And you've definitely given the Notre Dame fan base insight for that on today, and we appreciate you. Once again, go follow Keith Jenkins right now, Mr. Keith Jenkins, on Twitter, Instagram. Does a fabulous job covering Cincinnati Bearcat basketball and football. That was a tough loss last night by the Bearcats on the hardwood, Keith.
It was ugly. It was the worst loss. Like, real talk. So I'm a Bearcat alum, and my pops was an All-American there, and so I got a lot of ties with that program. But that was the worst loss of the year. And I'm like, yo, you can't lose that game.
Right.
And they got a lot at stake. But yeah, that was a tough one. So yeah, it's kind of, the weather today is really dark and gloomy, and I don't think that's a coincidence because it was ugly last night.
Well, we appreciate you, man. Continued success, and we'll tap in with you sometime closer to the season, all right?
My dog, I appreciate y'all.
All right, bro.
All right, see you. Thanks.
That's Keith Jenkins, man. Covers the Cincinnati Bearcats football program. Just giving us some insight. Like I said, he's been covering the program since Marcus was there as a coach, Coach Mickens. So he knows pretty much everyone, Chad Bolton, everyone that's with Notre Dame right now. He has a relationship with, and that was a pretty good insight to the culture that Marcus Freeman kind of transferred over from Cincinnati and what he's trying to do here at Notre Dame, which leads us and transitions us perfectly into what's going to be different, right? No Harry Heastand, no Tommy Rees. I'm going to bet that there will be less screaming on the practice field, Left, and less cussing on the practice field with Tommy and Harry no longer at Notre Dame.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot more GC to say the least. But I think that, one thing that is pretty cool is that this transition of Notre Dame and coming to a new era, it does truly mean everybody's got to go. And that includes a guy like Heastand, as important as I think he is to the season. And even as just him spending time there, you really find out just what Marcus Freeman is going to be made of in the right way. And I'm excited to see where it can go from here. And hopefully, we can really turn this thing into something special.
Man, what he talked about, I love it. I love it. And one of the things that I think Gerard Parker is going to be able to do is immediately tap into the fact that Left as a coach sometimes, and I think Keith Jenkins pointed this out, the fear, right? And how Cincinnati players had a fear and respect, but love was with it as well, right? And sometimes, I'll say this, I think Harry Heastand had that aspect from his players, where they feed him. Some of his tactics might be questionable. Some of the words he uses, okay, you can get it across.
You can do without some of it.
You could do without some of it, but his players loved him.
Yeah.
And they respected him. I don't know if I can say the same thing for Tommy Rees.
Well, I think Tommy has a different personality, and so I think if it was down in Alabama, I think he'll be more well received. And I think a lot of that is just due to the type of guy he is. I think that's more in line with how Saban's personality is, and I think he's going to keep it about the X and O's, and I think Saban will appreciate that. So for a guy like Tommy, it's much more suited in an environment like that than the opposite of Marcus Freeman, where he's visiting everybody, he's leading the charge, he's keeping it fun, loving, he's, it's more family oriented. Not that Alabama's not family oriented, but it's just that's a focus. And I think Tommy's more of a football only guy. And I think that works to how it worked out.
Left, how are they leaving you out of this whole Ohio-Cincinnati invasion, bro?
I mean, this is really getting real
You
sick. It's
you
really
need to
getting real
you need
sick.
to holler at your boy Marcus, man. You need to holler at Coach Freeman. Because if they're gonna do this whole Dayton, Cincinnati, Ohio thing,
Look, if
are you
any
and your
time in
who
Notre
left?
Dame's era that I should be working up there at the OC or on the football team in some aspect, it should be right now. I don't know how much I can do. I don't know how much I can do because it's getting real crazy. I mean, he
They
might as well just
left, they leaving you out, bro.
they really leaving me out of winning the championship. And I'm like, man, how you gonna leave the fire starter?
Who
The
reps
GM.
who reps Dayton, Cincinnati better
Who
for
reps
Notre
Marcus
Dame?
Freeman and the team better? Come on. The Lucky Lefty podcast at least got to get a banner over the tunnel or something. You know what I mean? It's like we are contributing to at least a couple wins this season from keeping an eye out on recruits, keeping the retention in recruiting, keeping the eyes on the fans, not running up there with pitchforks and torches. You know, with some of these decisions going up there, we keep the people at bay. So, I mean, Marcus Freeman, what's up? What you need?
Lucky Lefty podcast. Notre Dame fans, based upon the video we showed and based upon what Keith Jenkins says, how do you feel now? How do you feel now? How do you feel about Gerard Parker as your OC and Gino Giudugli as your quarterback coach? How are you feeling now? Now that you have more insight, now that you see the connection and the transference of player first, the love, the respect that Marcus Freeman is trying to bring over that was successful at Cincinnati. How do you feel? And we're talking about the differences between the new offensive coaching staff and what existed. Tommy Reese is going to Alabama. Harry Hiestand, he decides to retire. You know, Harry Hiestand decided to retire. It was connected to Tommy, and that's understandable. But Lev, you pointed something out. As much as we love all of the stories, and as much as I loved going to practice and being able to hear Harry clear across the field, like just laying the wood to somebody verbally, you can still be a great coach without all of that.
You can still be a great coach without all of that, and that's right.
Yeah.
It's just hard, man. I think moving on is good for us. I'm still out on the play calling because I have no idea what we're going to run.
Mm.
But I do think that quarterback room is going to be more formidable.
Mm.
I think we'll have a healthy room where we can develop.
That's a great word, healthy. Healthy is a great word for multiple reasons.
Maybe not get a first rounder, but we can get a draftable guy with enough of those resources we made in that quarterback room available. I think we will have a nice time transitioning into a franchise guy with Kenny or Carr in the next few years because he's going to learn the offense and get more comfortable and develop the right way with Gino G. And I think it'll be better for the long run. Short run, you know, Parker's got a lot to prove, got a lot to show. And, you know, not coming from a winning program or as many winning programs as I feel like you should, to just be feeling good about you stepping into position, non-nepotism. I got to see spring game or something.
Oh, we definitely have to see the spring game. Definitely have to see the spring game. And because if we can give a little bit of insight, what they showed on TV and how Tommy Reese related to Drew Pine in those moments, that was Tommy Reese the majority of the time.
Yeah.
That was Tommy Reese. That's his demeanor. And that can wear on young men, 17, 18, 19 years old. Just can't. And the environment, it's a lot of adjectives that people around the program, within the program, and that cover the program might have different adjectives for it or might view it differently. But the fact remains that I don't think that's going to be the culture. And I don't think that's going to be the way that Gerard Parker ultimately coaches on offense.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right. You're
So
right.
it's as simple as that. So now we want to talk to you about, with all of these changes and everything that's happened over the last 3 days, why Notre Dame needs Marcus Freeman more than ever. But first, Apple Podcast, Spotify, CFB Nation in conjunction with Irish Breakdown. Tap in all of our great content. Leave 5 stars. Leave your comments. We appreciate it. Don't forget the YouTube Lucky Lefty Podcast page. Hit the notification bell. Smash that like button for us. Subscribe, because you already know we spin it different. That's what we do. Left, I'm going to tell you why Marcus Freeman still has some control. Like with everything we've said, we said, yo, it's a clear message that he was the football coach and they ran the program. It's a clear message that, at some point there was an incompetency within the administration. Now they put out a story that was released by Heather Dinich that they wanted to pay the buyout for Ludwig, but Ludwig said no because his job at Utah was so great. I don't care what you say. I don't care who you send information to in the national media. The damage is done, unfortunately. The damage is done as far as Notre Dame's brand on the national landscape. The damage is done as far as the POV of the administration with the vast majority of the Notre Dame fan base. It's done. And there's nothing you can do, unfortunately, and nothing you can say to erase the stench of the experience of the last 72 hours for Notre Dame fans. There's nothing you can do. So right now, Notre Dame administration, you are at the mercy of Marcus Freeman. Because the only thing that's going to change or erase what we just experienced is Marcus Freeman and his team going out on the field and winning. See, if they go to the college football playoff, no one's going to talk about Andy Ludwig. No one's going to talk about getting the wrong contract.
No
one's going to talk about you trying to soften the blow by throwing something out to Heather Dinich and her putting it out on the Paul Feinbaum show. No one's talking about that. But it doesn't matter what you do. They're not going to forget this. People are not going to forget this. And the only thing that can change things is the football team, the coaching staff, and everybody that supports staff walking out in the fall and being successful on that football field. That's the only thing that's going to make people feel better about what has transpired. That's it. So you need Marcus Freeman more than ever right now. More than ever. Him and his team, they're the only ones that can make you look good right now. They're the only ones that can make people say, see, they got it right. See, they got it right. They hired the right guys. They're the only ones that can absolve you of this embarrassment. They need him, Left. They need Marcus Freeman and these young men more than ever. More than ever. They need them to walk out there on that field and win. That's the only thing that's really going to erase the stench. That's it. That's it. So as much as there was no support for him and his football team, You kind of need them right now.
Kind of need them.
Yeah. You kind of need them right now. So my advice would be kind of be low key and support him and let him do his thing. That would be my advice. Be low key, support him, and let him pull you out of this mess with a 12-0, 11-1 season and a college football playoff berth. Like, that's what go to the grotto every day and pray for that. Light a candle every day and pray that that's the outcome. You need them. They need them, Left.
They need them.
They need them. Before we get out of here, Left, the NCAA is in court and they're trying to fight over amateurism and still trying to save amateurism, which at this point, why? Why? You have new president coming in and he's trying to battle NIL right now. You have Tommy Tuberville along with Cory Booker bringing legislation in the spring that's going to be bring radical changes to NIL and the NIL landscape. Basically, what they're trying to do is find a nice little way to tax it so the states can get paid and the federal government can get their piece and control things. That's basically, you see through it.
Yeah.
You see through it. But they're in Philly right now, and they're fighting over amateurism, and they're taking a beating, Left. One of their arguments is, if you allow amateurism to leave, ultimately, legislation like Title VII and Title IX will ultimately be damaged. Women will be put at a disadvantage moving forward. They will receive less than their male counterparts. And of course, the judges and the three judges laughed and struck back. Then they tried to argue that amateurism needs to exist because the players don't have an expectation of being paid. And one of the judges responded, yeah, that's because contractually they know when they sign that paper for that scholarship that they're not getting paid. So
Right.
how can they have an expectation to get paid? So I'm reading this and I'm like, NCAA, come on. I don't even know why you're fighting this battle anymore. Like, no one believes that college players are amateurs. No one believes that.
Nobody believes that.
No one believes in that model. They even went on to argue about, them being students and, scholar athletes. And one of the judges said there's no student on a campus that has a restrictive schedule like athletes. And that's something you talked about and that these freshmen pointed out. That's the hardest thing for them to transition to. The hardest transition, right? Because if I'm a student, Left, I'm keeping a buck. If I'm on scholarship, academic scholarship, and I'm intelligent enough, I don't have to go to class and I can still pass the test.
Yeah.
But let me skip a week of practices and see if my scholarship is still there. That's why I laugh at people that try to say, students and student athletes are the same. No, they're not. No, they're not. Like, literally, I knew people. I thought I was an intelligent dude. I met some, extremely intelligent people when I went to the University of Illinois, bro. And I knew that I rarely saw them at lecture.
Yeah, rarely.
Rarely lecture. But when it came time to take the quizzes and tests, it was easy.
Yeah.
No one's checking attendance to make sure they keep their scholarship. It's a difference, man. Football players are given their schedules, bro. They only have a certain amount of time that they can have classes because you have weightlifting, you have prep. Like this is part of your day every day. Now you have to figure out a way to educate yourself in the midst of the rest of the hours. It's not the same. It's not. It's not. So, you know, I don't know about unionization, and I don't know about athletes being viewed as employees. But times are changing, man, and the NCAA needs to wake up.
Yeah, he needs to
The
wake up
NCAA,
for real.
they need to wake up and they need to realize, look, this is not a battle that's worth fighting anymore. Especially if we're trying to win the war.
Right.
And the biggest thing now is NIL. That's the monster. Amateurism, that's been out of the window a long time.
Long time.
It's been out of the window. And if that's your last ditch effort to try and control all of the money that flows through college athletics, oh man, doesn't look good. Matter of fact, the players and the presidents of these institutions might be taking a knee in victory formation when it comes to amateurism.
Yeah.
Lucky Lefty podcast, bro. Forgot to mention Max Bullock, GA linebacker. We wanted to tap into him a little bit as well. 2014, he played for the Houston Texans as an undrafted free agent. Playing experience, as I said before, the things I've heard about him, fantastic, fantastic teacher of the position. Very personable, 3-year captain of Michigan State. He was the leader of Mark D'Antoni's offense. And Mark D'Antoni started at Cincinnati. And really, most people can call him the godfather of that Cincinnati culture in a way. 'Cause I think it was they went from D'Antoni to Kelly. Was it D'Antoni to Kelly and then to Fickle? Was that the
Yeah.
flow?
Yeah.
D'Antoni,
Kelly the figure.
Kelly, Fickle, okay. And just continuing that flow and energy. That's why Cincinnati was successful, and it seems like that's the energy that is on the Notre Dame coaching staff right now. So Max Bullock, who was at Cincinnati, and the same situation or same position, he's now on the Notre Dame staff, and hopefully he can jump right in and start recruiting the position.
Yeah, I mean that's what you want to see.
Man,
I mean, Marcus Freeman is reaching in his friend Rolodex, pulling out all the stops.
yeah,
A lot of relationships tied to Cincinnati is good for him.
yeah.
Yeah, Butch Jones was there too before, I think, because he recruited me. Butch Jones was before Luke, because Butch Jones went to Tennessee, then Luke went there. Right?
Okay, that's a good call. Beef Eater NDOA, aka Toe Jam 1992. Would you rather have a hungry, disrespected Parker with something to prove at OC or an overpaid, overhyped Reese or Ludwig? Please explain the talent gap. Well, I don't
Ryan
think
Leftwich.
Reese is one thing, but why would Ludwig be overpaid?
Why would Parker be disrespected?
Yeah, and I don't think Gerard Parker views himself as being disrespected either.
He's like, oh wow, this fell in my lap.
I've heard from several people that when he was added to the staff, that there was an expectation down the line that he would end up possibly being the offensive coordinator at Notre Dame.
Yeah, just like everybody.
At some point. And if that timeline was moved up, then so be it. But I'm not disrespecting Gerard Parker. I just think I think Notre Dame fans are mad based upon the way the Ludwig situation, and they feel like it's a letdown. Period. That's it. I don't think Notre Dame fans have been disrespectful to Gerard Parker at all. I just think they feel let down. And I don't think Ludwig was overpaid. Maybe people don't understand what a buyout is in a contract, Left. A buyout is not a buyout for the school is a deterrent to bigger schools and bigger programs coming and stealing their coaches easily. To say, okay, if you want him bad enough, then pay this buyout for his contract. But on the flip side is protection for said coach, just in case the university decides to fire him. He gets paid.
Yeah.
It works both ways. Okay. Kyle Whittingham takes another job. You guys don't want to keep me on staff, or the new coach doesn't want to keep me on staff. Cool. Give me my 2.8. I'll go find
I'll
me
get
another
out of here.
job. Exactly. So
Charlie Weiss. We was paying Charlie Weiss 9 years after he was done.
Absolutely. He had great protection. His dude, that was great protection, a great job by his attorney and representatives to put that buyout in there.
I mean, that was a deal where we was like, look, we don't care what happens. We're going to pay you and send you to retirement regardless.
Yeah.
And now they can't pay 2.8 for.
Yeah. So
Look at how we did Charlie.
Yeah. He wasn't, I don't view Andy Ludwig as being overpaid at all. I think Utah was smart, and I think his representatives were smart. Because he's obviously one of the best in the business.
That's probably why Tommy didn't want Gerard Parker there, because remember, Tommy wanted a different tight ends coach.
Left, tap into it, Left.
So he must have called when he said, "You bringing this Parker guy in? I'm supposed to be the guy. I want a tight end coach. I don't want Parker as my tight end coach." Plot started to think it. It made sense when I saw him sitting next to Andy Ludwig. I'm like, he may have been the fox in the whole time. And Marcus Freeman was like, "You don't like my dog Parker? It's my dog, man. We're going to keep him." Tommy didn't like that.
That's a good point, Left.
Get deep.
Good
Be
point.
careful of you just hanging around now.
Dream with Theodore Dubell. Thank you for the super chat. So who are the best O-line coach candidates? Let's get a 5-star coach. I mean, there's a lot of smoke around Andy Heck, who's with the Kansas City Chiefs right now, former Notre Dame player, which, heck, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind at all. Of course, there are people that would love to see Chris Watt be promoted. But like I said, there's a national search going on. And, we'll see what comes of it. I think names will cut down or get a true list in the coming days, in my opinion, to see who really is going to be, at the top of that list of finalists or serious contenders for the position. Corey Roof says, thank you for the super chat. When hired Reese Young with little experience, Reese now at Alabama endorsed by Saban, MF promoted from within the head coach. Maybe ND has an eye for coaching talent. I mean, do we really think Tommy is a great OC though? Saban endorsed. Yeah,
Coach Stanford was a head coach after leaving Notre Dame. So, what? Notre Dame is just making you look better wherever you go after.
Yeah.
So, without Notre Dame, Tommy wouldn't be going to Alabama.
Yeah.
So, you're welcome, Tommy.
Nick Saban also endorsed Bill O'Brien and Pete Golding, and they were both terrible. So, I don't know about all of that. Eye for talent. We knew Marcus Freeman. First of all, Marcus Freeman being a great coach had nothing to do with Notre Dame. Heck, everybody in the world knew he was coming in the coaching ranks when he was at Cincinnati. So that's not Notre Dame having a great eye for talent. Heck, LSU knew it. That's why they wanted him. So Marcus Freeman was like me watching Derrick Rose in high school saying, "Oh, man, he's going to be great." No kidding.
No kidding.
That's like watching LeBron James in high school. "Oh, he's going to be great." No kidding. That's anybody that watched Marcus Freeman coach knew he was going to be really good at what he was doing. So I don't know if I would give Notre Dame credit for that. Not because you can't give the school credit. You have to give the coach credit. You have to give Brian Kelly credit. and his connections at Cincinnati. That's not a Notre Dame thing. That's like, the coaches that are being hired now. That's not a Notre Dame thing. That's a Marcus Freeman thing. That's him acknowledging the greatness of coaches and bringing them to Notre Dame. That's my opinion on it. Joe Papiti, from where I am, what I see is that Marcus Freeman is telling Notre Dame administration, especially Palace, that I don't trust you and you obviously don't trust me, so I'm going to fill my staff with people who I trust and who trust me.
If you can. If he can.
Also, it might just be a little bit of I'm fed up. Like, I don't even want to go through the process. Just
that's what it feels like at this point.
Just give me my boy, and like I don't even want to go through having to deal with you. I just want to lock in with my team.
I'm not about to waste time doing all that, and then to hear you talk about you heard from somebody else.
Joe Papiti, man, I need to get you guys some Italian lessons. Yeah, I don't know how to speak Italian.
I tried.
I went on and researched and saw how guys introduced him, and it was Gino Giudugli. That's what they said. So I was like, all right, that's what I'm saying.
Good dude. That's hard.
Hopefully he has a press conference, and hopefully someone poses the question, and he can say it in his nice Italian accent. He's Gino G, though. I can't mess that up. We got Gino G. Left, great show.
Great show.
Thank you, LL Nation. Everyone that tapped in. You already know what time it is.
Petticoat. Petticoat Junction.
It's time to get petty.
Oh, we did a good job executing.
Are you upset with something?
And fire up the Petticoat Junction train.
I just don't like you.
You don't?
No.
What is today's petty historic? Petty Junction.
Petty Junction, petty story of the day brought to you by Onora Whiskey, OnoraWhiskey.com, that premium American whiskey, OnoraWhiskey.com. We go to the state of Virginia, Left. Have you ever sent someone a text message trying to send them off?
Trying to send them off.
Trying to send them off. Yes. Have you ever sent someone a text message trying to send them off?
No, I haven't.
You haven't?
Mm-mm.
Well, this Virginia woman, she sent her ex-boyfriend a happy Valentine's and happy birthday text just minutes before she arrived at his house with another assailant attempting to murder him. Left.
What?
Yeah. She stayed 12 miles away. Her name is Erin Osei, 25. And her current boyfriend, Andrew Poindexter, 26. They're from Fredericksburg, Virginia. And they drove the 12 miles to Louisa, Virginia to ransack her ex-boyfriend's home and to kill him. When they got there, the door was locked and they began shooting into the bedroom window, injuring another young lady that happened to be there before authorities were called. And they got into a high-speed chase with authorities where speeds were measured at 120 miles per hour at its peak. They were apprehended, and they are looking at a maximum of 63 years in jail.
Well, I don't feel bad for stupid now.
My thing is, what was the text message for?
Yeah. You thought she was going
That was your alibi? That was going to be your alibi? It couldn't have been me. I had just texted him that I love him.
Yeah, and I showed up at the same time with somebody else.
While I'm texting him, you pinged my phone from my house to his house.
Lord Jesus.
Dude. Man, this world is crazy. This world is crazy. I read this story and I said, man, I thought the cheerleader ejection from the game was funny.
This is just ridiculous. People just getting buck wild out here, man. I don't know what it is.
Man, happy Valentine's Day. Happy birthday, babe. Now, you know he looked at the text message like, nah.
Who is this?
Like, she bugging. Like, what?
Then next thing you know, do.
Right.
How the hell? Oh, it's her for sure. No,
Right.
this girl tried to trick me, man.
It's funny how the criminal mind believes that it's intelligent. She thought the text messages were going to be a perfect alibi for her scheduled murder. Lucky Lefty
Scheduled
podcast.
murder. Yeah, seriously.
Definitely premeditated, dude. Don't forget Apple Podcast, Spotify, Lucky Lefty Podcast, also on YouTube. CFB Nation in conjunction with Irish Breakdown. We appreciate you guys. Tap in with us tomorrow. We're going to have our guys from Rock Financial on with us tomorrow. Special guest, Rock Financial, joins us tomorrow for a big announcement right here on the Lucky Lefty Podcast. For Left, I'm Shaun Davis. Have a fantastic Thursday. But most of all, you have to make sure that you spin it different.